What's going on, guys? My name is Steve. Thank you for stopping by my channel. Today we're going to be reacting to a right to roam in Scotland. From what I understand, a right to roam is basically a right that Scottish citizens have that gives them universal access to certain public lands and things like that. I'm not really sure about all the details, but I saw this being described in the comments section of another video, and I thought it sounded really interesting. So I went and I found this video, and I think this is going to do a really good job of showing me what a right to roam really is. So anyways, I don't really have too much to add to the beginning of this video, so let's just go ahead and check out what a right to roam in Scotland is.
He says, Ach,
the Scottish Outdoor Access Code is probably the most progressive in the world, but if you look at our land ownership, it's probably the most regressive in the world.
Whoops.
So it's probably...
Hold on, I wanted to stop that real quick and say, whatever he was singing, man, that was absolutely beautiful. I really enjoyed that little snippet there. And the landscape already, it's just amazing. I definitely would love to explore some of these nature areas. And by the way, I love those Scottish cows. I don't know what kind of cow that is, but when I've seen cows in Scotland, that generally they got that long hair. It's a type of cow that I'm not used to seeing in America. They're really cute when they're babies. But anyways, let's continue. So far, I've heard that you got really great, easy access to public lands, but to land ownership is very regressive. So let's just replay that little segment there.
The Scottish Outdoor Access Code is probably the most progressive in the world. But if you look at our land ownership, it's probably the most regressive in the world. So it's probably born out of not being able to own land and access land.
Why is that? Maybe
and
tell us.
You know, that is really cultural. That you can go really deep and far back into that, how the land was divided between, you know, clans, and even like back to Gaels and Picts and, you know, Vikings and the Irish and stuff. You know, you can go really deep into that. A lot of.
So is that basically because like all the land is owned by a relatively few people that own a ton of land, and so there's just never any for sale? Is that kind of what she's saying, or is there something more to that, to why it's regressive?
People respect that you do have the right to roam. There is, you know, it's kind of that, you know, notion that Scotland has no trespassing laws. You know, I am free to do as I wish.
There's no trespassing laws on actual private land? So you can, if you're a Scottish citizen, you could literally go on any single piece of land you want to, and you can never be trespassed. Is that what she's saying? Wow. That is a very progressive land rule. Wow, that is definitely not the case in America, man. It's completely different. I'm sure it's different in a lot of other parts of the world, most of the world probably, actually, because I've never heard of anything like this.
And that's a really nice sort of liberty to have.
In Scotland, nearly every square foot of land is privately owned by a small fraction of the population.
Okay, so that's what it is. Wow.
Because of this imbalance and the Scots' persistent dedication to freedom, the Scottish Outdoor Access Code was written into law in 2003, which granted public access to private land for recreational and educational purposes.
Relatively recent.
During one of the mildest winters that Scotland had seen in decades, Marie and I randomly met a local in a pub named Lauren McCallum. What started with a shared interest in snowboarding led to shared pints of cider, and after a brief Scottish history lesson, she offered to lead us into the hills to get a real feel for this right to roam.
You know, how can anyone know that they want the right to roam or understand that the right to roam is important if they've never roamed? You know, it's kind of like, appreciate this, but you have no idea what it is. You know, you can't do it.
Alex Yoder, why do I know that name? I do not know why I know that name, but I know that name for some reason. guys got some beautiful landscapes in Scotland, for real. Wow, man. It's beautiful, man.
You ready for the smoke show?
Hold on. I've never seen a, let me, what is that? Is that like is that a camper van or so? What is that? I have never seen a vehicle like that before. Is it, I guess it's like a camper van, kind of like a small RV or something.
For the smoke show? Oh,
That's pretty heavy, man.
Wow.
And we are currently sitting in a bothy in the Scottish West Highlands, just out from Fort William, not far from Annachmore. And yeah, this is the essence of Scottish, outdoor access is, a sanctuary for somewhere to be dry and share stories and, really just, just enjoy yourself and know that you don't have to pack too much and, meet other people as well. And they're sort of like the backbone of Scottish culture, mountain culture. And they're an awesome network of sanctuaries to have.
Wow, man. So is this a private house they're in? Or is this some sort of public structure? I understand that supposedly there's no trespassing laws, so I'm just curious, is it just someone's private house, or is it just like a structure that was built with public funds or something?
In a way, it's like a sort of ancient social media. It's where you would meet other random people and reach out to people.
Enjoy your day. Yeah, you too. Bye.
With the owner's permission, this bothy, I've never heard that word. Does that basically just mean house or cabin or something? This bothy is maintained by the Mountain Bothies Association. So this is a private structure that is maintained by the public, basically, right? That's wild, man. I've never seen anything like that, We obviously have quite a bit of public lands in the U.S., but this is completely different. It's like private land being accessed and kind of taken care of by the public as well. That's what it seems like. That's very interesting. That's pretty cool, man.
I should have spent a wee while tuning up before we done this,
has such a beautiful, I love that. I love the bagpipe, man. It's got such a beautiful sound. Those look like some pretty tall mountains, man. Wow. So in Scotland, I have the impression that, you know, Scotland has, for the most part, most people live in, like, it's relative, the landmass of Scotland, I have the feeling, maybe I'm wrong on this, but it seems like most people live in, you know, a relatively small amount of the landmass, and there's like a huge portion of the land is just wilderness. Is that accurate, or am I wrong on that? I just have the impression that, you know, there's obviously some small villages and things like that, but I'm under the impression that basically, you know, if you leave the city, a few major cities, you're basically going to have a large amount of open area. That's the way it looks here anyway.
You can really like bend the. You can really bend the nose. It's really good smoothly. But like, I love that. Radio.
Oh, she's a natural.
Oh, that's cool. You don't have to get on a chairlift. You just grab a rope or something, it pulls you up. Generally, when I've seen, you know, places to ski or snowboard, you know, you've always got to go up a chairlift. That would be even more fun, getting dragged back up the hill like that. Dude, that was so fun. Oh, you don't even hold it. It just, okay, you just buckle it in.
And explore Scotland. And actually there's a lot of land, there's not a lot of people. So it's quite a straightforward thing to facilitate. But it's something that, as a sort of carte blanche, as a sort of blanket rule, needed to be reinforced at government level, and just sort of, you know, giving people that sort of peace of mind.
Wow.
So it is officially okay to go places as long as you're reasonable, responsible and respectful.
Yeah, that's it. It's like reasoning, isn't it? It's like you take a little bit, you give a little bit. You take a little bit, you give a little bit. Yeah, respectful, responsible and reasonable. And it's only when somebody gets a little bit annoyed about giving or taking is where you kind of get a bit of a friction. But generally, people are happy to give a little bit and take a little bit. And I think that's a pretty good thing.
Wow, man. Love that. Look at that, man. I love that landscape. So awesome.
Yeah. Where's the next stop?
So good, and it's waterproof. This in the shower or bath is a total game changer.
Music was like,
This cow, man.
you know, you get up and you sung a song for doing this and sung a song for doing that, and boom, 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 you know. And then there was songs for milking cattle, and there was songs for rowing boats, and there was songs for the warrior culture of the Highlands, like the spiritual side of things as well, and just music for everything. I'm always singing. Like, that's better for you if you sing. If you don't sing, you lose your soul. Wow, that was deep, wasn't it?
The Cow Palace.
You try and explain it to people who haven't been to Scotland. You know, and Scots are wild and stuff. But you have to really come here to experience it, you know? I think, you know, you guys would have met like Scottish people in your travels and stuff and maybe thought they were alright or, you know, not okay. But I think you really need to kind of come to Scotland to really get that full experience.
I think you've had just about enough, missus, haven't you? Get her out, come on!
Dude. Are they shorter? They must be shorter cows or something. They don't look as big.
They're gonna spoil things and leave trash and burn fires that they're not meant to. And, you know, we had a couple of road guys last summer burn this absolutely beautiful tree that had been there for hundreds of years, just out of pure ignorance. But I guess the way you've got to think of it is that
wow,
for that one tree or that one really natural thing to be spoiled by this small minority of people, think about the other thousands of people that have just been able to just get out their car and just go. And like not even think, just go. Just leave, shut the door and go. Like, that is such like a liberty that we take for granted. Especially in like the universal world.
It's rad to be proud of that.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
well, you know, you think about the poor kids that are getting like blown to bits in Syria. You know, they can't just go. They can't just.
Yeah, exactly.
This really is a big deal. I mean, now that I'm seeing it, it's like you literally have this freedom that most people around the world really don't have. You know, it's not just that you can get in your car and just go to a different town, but you can just go and you have access to everywhere in the entire country. That's wild, man. That's really crazy in a good way. That's awesome. You know, especially it makes a lot of sense because you guys, you know, there's not a lot of land to buy, supposedly. People own it and they're not selling it, I guess. And so this gives you... Anyway, let's continue. It gives you access to land that you otherwise couldn't own.
And just depending on how the cover underneath the new snow is, which is probably pretty thin. So we could go and certainly have a play around in here.
Origami, not doing origami.
Oh man, I love those bridges like that.
I'll give you this one.
So with the greater freedom you ask for, you have to be accountable for that. But with freedom comes a lot of responsibility, you know? And I think that's what I want for the Scottish youth, is to drive for more freedom but also make sure that everyone knows that while gaining these liberties, everyone's responsible for making sure that we just keep progressing. And I think that's what I really want, because that would be a cool place to be in.
Dude, man. That looks awesome.
As I walked in the shade of
We have everything in Scotland.
on the cold winter's day, well, I trod on a bud in a bog figure both old and grey. Tell me, why do you lie in a bog hole? I asked this man of grey, with a laugh and a mirthless chuckle. These words to me he'd say: I'm the last of the grand old masters, tigers of yesterday. When the march of progress has passed us, we're faded to fade away. I was with Joe Brown in Clanberries at the height of his climb and fame, and with Robin Smith on Ben Nevis when first he made his name. Now,
Dude, do you guys call that folk music, whatever this is? I love that type of music. That's what we would call it in America, is like folk music. I've always enjoyed that type of music. But anyway, guys, I thought this was so well done. They did an excellent job with this little presentation here. And I think this is pretty cool, man. It's almost like the right to roam, basically, because there's not easy. You don't have just the ability to buy land very easily, it sounds like, in Scotland, because it's all owned and people just aren't selling it, I guess. But in a way, every citizen owns the entire country, it sounds like. Because if you can just go anywhere, if you can legally go somewhere, you get the benefit of owning it without technically owning it. So basically, you already own all this land. I guess you probably can't, when you have the right to roam, that doesn't mean you can just go and, I don't know, build a house on someone's private land, obviously, but you have access to it to take, to have adventures and to explore and things like that, outdoor sports, and things like that. So I'm guessing that also includes not just roaming through someone's private land, but it sounds like you can probably camp on their land as well, as long as you're responsible, like they said, and, don't set any forest fires or whatever, and you clean up behind yourself and things like that. It sounds like you could pretty much do most stuff you wanted to. I'm guessing maybe the time you can spend camping on someone's little plot of land is probably limited. It's not like you can just go there and camp out for a month in the same area, but I'm guessing. I don't know for sure. Please let me know how exactly that works, because I still don't quite understand all the ins and outs of this. Like, how long can you camp on someone's private land before you have to move on, and what all can you really do on that land? But no matter what, this is something awesome that I've never heard of before. You cannot do this in the U.S. Granted, we have a lot of public land. The U.S. is huge, so there is that. But this would just give it a whole new level of. It would open up some new areas to adventure in. Let's say that, and it'd give you a better access to certain areas and things like that. And I think this is awesome. I think it's awesome that the people came together in the government and decided, you know what, because people can't buy land, really, we're going to allow them to have access to it at least. And I think that's awesome. That's really awesome. I love the freedom aspect of that. But guys, I thought this was awesome. I thought they did a really good job with this video, like I said, and I really enjoyed this, and it was something very interesting to learn about. And let me just say, I think this was the first time I really got a good look at the Scottish Highlands, and I've been wanting to. I still plan on like exploring, researching and checking out some different videos on the Scottish Highlands. But I think this is the first time I really got a really good look at the Scottish Highlands, and this place is beautiful. I mean, the mountains are so much larger than I ever imagined they would be. I mean, I'm pretty amazed actually at what I just saw, because I've always known the Scottish landscape from the little bits I've seen here or there to be very beautiful. But this blew me away with like just the vastness of these mountains. I just had no idea that it was that. The mountains were that big, and just that, it looked very remote, and yeah. Anyways, guys, I really enjoyed this. So if you have anything else like this you'd like to share with me, please feel free to do so in the comments. I'd love to get your suggestions if you have any other ideas of interesting things you think I might want to check out. Thank you for stopping by. Please click that like button. Feel free to drop your comments or suggestions about this video or others. And don't forget to subscribe to continue to follow me on my journey to discover my British and Irish ancestry. Until next time, guys, peace.